You want to see something really scary?
You bet.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Jesus Christ!
No, it's not.
Now, was that civilized? No, clearly not. Fun, but in no sense civilized.
But let's go ahead and talk about the often debated installment in his filmography, specifically the Halloween films.
Okay.
Now, I'm entirely in your hands on these because, like I said, I've not seen these yet, short of just any reviews I've seen online from a variety of different YouTube critics. So you go ahead and just try to. Here's the idea: try to sell me on them.
Okay.
All right.
So, you know what John Carpenter's Halloween is, right?
I don't know if I would know anything about that. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. Nobody can ever top that. Nobody can ever top the original Halloween. They've made many sequels to it. Well, give it to a director that's just going to do something totally different. It's in a different wheelhouse. My problem with Halloween is that the fact that they do something different, which is great, but then they just go back to Halloween halfway through. So that's kind of like the weird bummer part of it. We're just seeing the same thing over again, but we're seeing it through the different eyes of Rob Zombie. Halloween 2, however, is his completely own thing. You're getting a completely original story with these characters that he's messed up completely in Halloween 1. Like, there was talks for a long time they were going to make a Halloween 3, continuing Rob Zombie's characters. Obviously, without Rob Zombie, would you want that though? Would you really want another director directing those people?
Yeah.
Not really.
And that kind of leads me to the thing I've always said about filmmakers is, like, you can tell the mark of a great filmmaker when his style is so distinctively their own that when you look at even just a couple seconds of frame of film, you can tell that is that. Like, as I would say, you can look at one frame of a Wes Anderson film and know that it's a Wes Anderson film.
Right. Yes.
Flat out. And that's the same thing I would say with Rob Zombie. The thing I've always been told about his Halloween films is that very clearly he had the license to do whatever the hell to make it his own, and very clearly, based on everything I've seen of him, like going, yeah,
Bitch, I will crawl over there and I will skull fuck the shit out of you.
It's unmistakable. This is definitely Rob Zombie's Halloween.
He goes really hard, and it's like right off the bat too, like right in the beginning. Like, you meet this family, and just William Forsythe's like this awful wife beating, like abusing redneck, and I could just see just making horror fans so aggravated and so angry that you're just getting Sherry Moon stripper and William Forsythe wife beater like in Halloween. That stuff's only there for a little bit. Like, I get it. It's a little cringy too, but it's not going to replace the first film. We're always going to have that perfect first Halloween film, and even Halloween 2 is really good. So we're getting a story where we're finding out how Michael Myers came to be. He's killing animals, and the teachers are trying to talk with the mom. The mom's a stripper. She's trying to just do her best with an abusive husband. So you're just seeing like Rob writing this just down and dirty, like, kid by himself, just trying to figure himself out in the world, and he's a little fucked up, and he's killing animals, and basically that's why he kills his sister, yada yada yada, and we get this big, angry, confused guy. But I think it's a cool take. Like, it's a cool take on the mythos of Halloween. It was something I had never seen before, and I liked the originality to where he was coming from with it. Yeah, and we got a cool second film out of it. That was all completely original. So
we heckle the Halloween franchise for having so many divergent timelines, but it's one of those things where I don't mind it, because think about it, you now have a variety to choose from, and they go in so many different tangents. You could pretty much just enjoy it if you're in the mood for something in a different type of tone or a different type of presentation. You got that. And I like the fact that the franchise is kind of showing off how multifaceted it can actually be by the fact that they're going into all these different directions with all these different storylines and different timelines. Ultimately, there is a place for Rob Zombie's take on it. It's able to not have to be so beholden to the other ones that it's allowed to have its own identity. I don't see that as a bad thing.
And it's a good time. Like if you're watching, like if it's around Halloween time, like those movies, especially the second one, like there was a big Halloween party that was filmed in Atlanta, and a bunch of my friends went, and they're like in the back, like in the crowd scenes with like Seymour Coffin's talking with them and everything. Like it feels like trick or treat. Like it's a big Halloween time, good party vibe. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's
cool.
like I like the Halloween movies that bring that love of Halloween to the movie. There's a Rob Zombie film you have not mentioned yet tonight. That is the exciting world of El Super Bisto, the haunted world of El Super
Oh,
Take your stinking paws off her, you damn dirty ape!
I have heard of it. I have totally heard of it, but I did not know that was him. I did not know it was him until I was looking up. I was making sure to compile everything, and I'm like, that was him.
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah. That was based on a comic book that he did. There's a luchador wrestler, and they gave him a role. I think Tom Papa voices him. He's a comedian. And there's the cameos are aplenty. Like we're talking Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, Captain Spaulding, Baby Otis, like Michael Myers. All of them show up in this. Hey, do you ever see Daffy Duck's Quackbusters?
Oh yeah.
It's like that, where Daffy Duck's just in this like nightclub full of different monsters and ghouls around. So you get these like classic, actors and actresses from that time, like as monsters and stuff. It has that kind of feel to it. It's not amazing or anything, but it's a good time.
That does sound like a good time, just to have the actual horror world equivalent of the Daffy Duck's Quackbusters. I mean, I'll take it. Any idea where it's streaming?
Man, I don't know. I got it on Blu-ray when it came out, and I can't imagine. I would imagine like on Tubi or something, Honestly, I would love to hear Joe Bob's take on Rob Zombie. I haven't heard that yet.
Love to see him do with Rob Zombie, with what he did with Eli Roth at the beginning of this last season, where he had just Eli Roth come in and not spotlight his movies, but actually bring in movies that he loves.
Yes. Yeah.
And because frankly, I felt that lent so much more insight into the filmmaker themselves to talk about the movies that inspire them.
Joe Bob has that kind of like redneck, aesthetic around him and his films. He's a very educated guy. Like nobody's gonna ever default him on that. So I think Rob Zombie also kind of coming in that camp where it's this redneck dirty thing, but he's also a very smart guy. So having the two of that dynamic, I think would be fun.
That's the thing that most people always like. So many like cynics never seem to give Rob Zombie the credit for, because a lot of them just look at him. Of course, the classic, judging a book by its cover thing.
Sure.
You look at a guy like Rob Zombie, they think he's just like some, freaking nutty
shock rocker.
Shock rocker, psychopath, idiot. I'm like looking at this guy, and I'm looking at his work and is across the board, and even just listening to him talk. If you watch Eli Roth's History of Horror, you just listen to a man talk and just sit down and just talk. And I'm like, no, this guy knows way more than any of us in our combined knowledge could ever hope to accumulate, because he actually has the money to be able to sit down and actually watch it.
Yeah.
And have the time to do that.
That's one of the things I like about Rob a little bit too, is that he doesn't like bow down to the masses of like having to prove himself. Like he's very much like, he lives his life. He had like a quiet little house out in the Midwest for a while. And I know like there was a whole thing like Rob Zombie yells at skateboarders at a skate park near his house, and everyone's like, see, such a jerk. And I'm like, I don't think anybody would be mad if a bunch of kids were screaming and skating in their house. He'll do an interview if like the pay's right. And I know it sounds kind of shitty to say, like, if like they're have him as like a host for like horror films for like a Halloween night or something like that, but he doesn't feel like he needs to get out there and do a bunch of stuff and prove his worth, No,
I think he's in that position where I feel like he's become such a distinctive presence, and become such a creative force in his own right. One to which I feel like he's in the best position where he's hotly debated. I mean, and that's the thing, when you go on any Facebook horror group or any kind of Twitter feed and discussion about him, man, the discussion of whether or not, of people who love him and hate him, some people just have absolute fucking ire for him. And most of them, a lot of them just openly say it's either because his work makes them so uncomfortable, or alternatively, it's because they just don't get it.
Right.
But then you got the other people who love it for the fact that it's got all those crazy ass elements, which for the civilians, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But for the rest of us, even if it doesn't make sense to us, we don't care, because what we're seeing is so fucking interesting.
Right. There was an
Yeah.
interesting thing with Bill Moseley that he said during the behind the scenes of Devil's Rejects, where, and it kind of came up to me because I'm like, Devil's Rejects is like one of my favorite horror films. And like when it came out, I was so excited to like show people it because I was just like, this movie makes me feel like when those credits end and we hear like the Terry Reid afterwards, and like I feel for those characters that are horrible killers in this film. It's the rape scene in the hotel where he has the Banjo and Sullivan band. And Otis has I forget the actress's name, but he has
I think it's Priscilla Barnes. I think
Priscilla Barnes. Yes, he has the gun in her panties, and he's telling her to like say really disgusting and gruesome things. And like no matter who I'm watching that movie with, like you got to feel like gross because they're like, this is one of your favorite movies. Like it's setting this like standard. It's like I know, and so like when they're filming that scene, Bill Moseley came over to Rob and he's like, man, Rob, this scene's bumming me out. Like everybody just feels really gross and just horrible on set. And Rob just looked at him and says, art's not safe. And Bill Moseley was like, damn, man, that's powerful. Like, you're right. Art's not safe. And
no,
it's a bummer right now, but I mean, it sets the precedence for how dirty and horrible these characters are. So you feel for them at the very end.
In a way, I kind of look at the Firefly family as a much more definitely much more savage, much more R-rated Addams family to an extent, because the thing that always seems to be at the core of them, as horrible people as they are, the one thing that you never fuck with is the bond between them, a sincere love and family bond between the three of them. And much in the same way as Addams family, where it's the whole idea is like, you fuck with the Addams family, they stand together and they will fuck with you back.
100%.
Yeah, and that's the thing I noticed about the Firefly family. Throughout all three movies, you don't fuck with them. Yeah. And if you do, they band together and they will fuck with you back and fuck with you 10 times harder. One movie though we haven't talked about enough, which personally you actually told me that one was not your favorite of the bunch, and I kind of walked out of getting more of it. But 31.
Tonight we are going to play 31.
I guess I'm just a sucker for the whole most deadliest game concept, the whole idea of humans hunting humans, especially in a game. A battle royale concept. And just the idea that these very obviously wealthy elites are, getting dolled up, literally dolled up, kind of puts it into me in the same camp as movies that I love, like Society. The idea of the upper elite just finding excuses to, or finding those hidden places where they can just engage in some of their most base desires that they're not allowed to in the public eye. But here they're allowed to just engage in probably the most horrific, most brutal fantasies and just kind of enjoy it. And there's such a distance between him and the people who he's luring in to engage in these blood sports. I mean, it was kind of, in a way, it's kind of like Society meets Running Man.
Sure. Yeah. I can see that.
But that they actually hire mercenaries to come in and be their champions.
I give you Psycho Ed and his brother, the maniacally mental Schizo Ed.
I gotta say it. Bringing Meg Foster into the mix didn't help. Didn't make things worse either. I love Meg Foster. So
seeing her as just a real character, she just has those eyes, man. Like
those powerful, piercing eyes, and I was really sad when her character. Spoiler. When her character kicks, and I wanted her and Shuri Moon Zombie to make it through at the very end, but unfortunately, I knew at the second she was gonna break away to try to do something noble. I was like, no, don't do it. Yeah.
The movie for me, I think it hit a lot of the towards the end whenever they do kind of like the throwback. Like, remember the good times with these characters, and it's like that Super 8 footage, and they're all like walking. It was like exactly Devil's Rejects. Like, it was kind of like, it was like Rob going back to what worked last time really well. And also like the Halloween part wasn't really explored. Like, it was like, on Halloween night, we're going to capture these people. And I mean, obviously they're in a warehouse. They can't really have too much Halloween in a dirty, wet warehouse.
Obviously. Yeah.
But to me, it just kind of felt very pieced together, very rushed. Not to saying I didn't like it. Like, I mean, I like all of Rob Zombie's movies. I just think that one for me is like the least favorite. But you're right. Shuri Moon fucking kicks ass in that movie, man. And she looks great with that lion top on, man. She was killer in that thing.
I like the idea that her character in the beginning was the one that was like the most passive, the one who was most reluctant to get bloody. But then right at the very end, man, she gets she just throws everything to the wind. She throws her entire humanity to the wind and just becomes a freaking animal.
Yeah.
At the tail end,
yeah.
and again just leads to that final scene between her and Richard Brake, which I just freaking loved.
Richard Brake, like that saved the movie for me. I think I didn't really like I didn't really enjoy any of the killers, the mercenaries. Like I thought the Tito, the Nazi little guy. Like,
yeah.
I was like, what is this? Like his lines were
the diminutive Nazi. I'm like going, dude, I don't know if anyone told you, but in the actual Reich, you probably would have been first on the pyre.
Right. But that's the thing. I think he was just so insane that it didn't even drip into his brain matter. It was kind of like, I was kind of like, all right, well, these characters are getting nixed off one by one. I'm already over this movie. And then like when Richard Brake finally comes in, it kind of like sets the tone for everything. And I'm like, oh man, all right, this character, like he's punching himself in the face to like get prepared for this.
Other times I see this scenario, they always forsake their principles just so they don't lose. But I actually liked that because she lives, or because she actually makes it past the time limit, they actually abide and they actually let her go.
Oh, right.
End, which I was really impressed. I was like, what's the catch?
Right.
It's like, no, there actually is no catch. They actually legitimately let her go. I guess they just weren't expecting anyone to survive to the very end. I guess that was like the funniest thing. But I think the thing that made me love Richard Brake so much more in the movie, I love that he couldn't stand it. And again, which leads to the amazing ending where they're staring each other down, where it's like both of these people don't have to be here to do this. He could just go away.
They're now pawns in the game permanently,
Yeah, but they are staring at each other, and it's like, no, someone is going to fucking die right then and here, and it doesn't matter about a game or anything like that. Someone fucking dying right now. You're right. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Richard Brake set the mood so well in his early scenes of the movie. Then when he finally comes in to play the game,
right? And that's the thing too. Like oh, okay, this character's crazy, and then you don't see him for like the next hour. But when he shows back up, when he shows back up, and honestly, I'm all for that. It's kind of like, you know what it is? It's kind of like that great bit in The Simpsons when the Yakuza are fighting the mob on the Simpsons lawn.
Look at him. He's going to do something, and you know it's going to be good.
100%. Oh, man.
You didn't think I could make a Simpsons reference talking about Rob Zombie, did you?
We found it.
Yes. Yeah.
What is your favorite?
So as far as like my favorite Rob Zombie movie?
Yeah.
Oh, Lords of Salem. Visually, it's probably his most stunning. It's his most. I think the story is great. I think Sherry Moon Zombie's performance, I think, is her career best, really. And yeah, I loved the plethora of actresses he brought in. I mean, freaking Dee Wallace. The fact that she's not tired of horror and she's still giving it her all, and she gave it her all for Rob.
She's in Halloween. She's Laurie Strode's mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta check it out.
Precisely. But Dee Wallace with Patricia Quinn, and then of course all of them, and just freaking Meg Foster as like the lead. And I will tell you now, right now, every time I talk about that movie, that freaking music is in my head.
Bwah, 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 bwah. Yeah, man.
It's like how many notes, but it's the most addictive freaking notes I've ever heard.
I collect all the waxwork the vinyls that come out from Rob Zombie soundtracks, and they just came out with Lords of Salem, and that was like, I wanted to buy it because it's a great soundtrack, but I was like, I don't know, man. Waxwork Records, they put out they first put out Corpses, Rejects, and 3 from Hell when there were 3 from Hell was coming out in theaters. So it's like beautiful gatefolds. There's like a slip that has all these photos, and Rob writes a whole little thing in there. They're really cool vinyls. And then when they just did Lords of Salem, and they actually did the wooden box.
Oh, wow.
And like the bone, like holding the lock and everything. But I think that was like limited to like 20.
That is so cool.
And it was like really expensive, but they do have like the normal standard version of the records. And it also comes with remember the black metal band in Lords of Salem that they first listened to? It's like, it's just like a lot of fucking emo metal. There's like a little version of that. So I was just like, I like it, but I don't know if I want to like play that, because that song just wigs me out, man. Like,
yeah, you just know bad stuff is being invoked by it just by the fact that she's getting headaches from it, and then you see what comes to her after. It's like, oh my god,
and what about that beast in the room? That random fucking beast that shows up. That movie's nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it's pure nightmare fuel, but man, it's his most effective, and just it's the one I will tell everyone, if you, regardless of how you feel about Rob Zombie, give that one a look. It's the one I truly feel that he really got to stretch his muscles and really show what he could do as an artist.
Yeah. And
But,
it was like the first movie I'd seen in forever that did dirty down witches. Like we always seen so many movies that just have like, you know, like Sanderson sister witches, things like that.
Or
This movie
glamorous
opens
witches.
up with like an abortion on sticks, and everything's dirty and like everyone's naked. Even not everyone's like an amazing, gorgeous witch. Like there's big witches and small witches and old witches, and like, it just felt dirty. Now, like American Horror Story has done that and stuff, so like it's kind of come around in pop culture. But Lords of Salem was the first.
And I definitely think it preceded The Witch. I think.
Yes, The Witch came out after that. So
I mean, The Witch did some definitely some unglamorous witches, but and definitely ones like that. So I'd say if there's anyone that I feel is in the same league of that, it's definitely The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but you know, in talking about my favorites, you need to get revenge on me for part 2 of Crunch Time.
Yes. All right, man. All right. Top 5 songs used in a Rob Zombie film. They have to be classic songs. They can't be like anything made within the last 10 to 20 years.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure with Rob Zombie, it's pretty easy.
Okay. Basically no songs that were actually written by Rob Zombie.
Sure. Right.
30 seconds and go. All right. I Want to Be Loved by You, sung by Baby in House of Thousand Corpses. Definitely loved the use of Free Bird at the very end of Devil's Rejects. Of course, no, we can't use the music from Lords of Salem. Can't do it. I can't use that 4 notes because that was Rob's music.
Yeah.
And there was a Slim Whitman song that was used. It doesn't count because I can't name it. It was one in Corpses, the Slim Whitman song with the slow burn.
You got 2. Oh man, I will remember you by Slim Whitman.
I will remember you by Slim Whitman. And the sad part is when I did the thing with Jeff, we brought that song up.
Did you really?
Oh. Yeah, and because we talked about how great that song was used to great effect.
Yeah.
But I remember the name. And I was like, kills me. And the funny thing is, I had a feeling you were going to hit me with this one, and I thought I had it planned, but no, you damn it. And I know I'm going to remember some of those other ones, but
oh sure, yeah, they're all going to come to you tomorrow, and you're like, God damn it.
So technically, because you got 3 in your first go around, technically you won.
Oh snap! Hey,
yeah. So you won this edition of Crunch Time on Deep Cuts. So with that, any final thoughts today on talking about our great discussion on Rob Zombie?
Give Rob Zombie a chance. I feel like that should be the takeaway. Give Rob Zombie a chance. Even though, you know, like you said, don't judge a book by its cover. There might be something in there, all those dirty, gritty films that you might actually like.
And beyond that, I feel like he's become so ingrained in the horror genre. I feel like it'd be kind of remiss for any horror fan to just give his movies a pass. When frankly, I think a lot of them actually kind of test your own mettle as to where you stand as a horror fan. Because I like the fact that a lot of times the movies make you uncomfortable because frankly, that's what sometimes horror is supposed to do.
Yes. Art isn't safe.
Art isn't safe. And when it comes to horror, it shouldn't be. I mean, if it makes you uncomfortable, then there's something of that's going on this screen that is obviously affecting you on some kind of level.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I like A24 films. Cause like, I just know I'm getting into like something weird and they're going to make me unsettled, even if it's a slow burn until the last 10 minutes. Like, that's something I like about horror. So
Keenan, what is going on with you? Where can we find you social media wise? What do you got going on online?
So you can find me at horror_guy on Twitter. I'm also on Twitch. I Twitch stream Monday through Fridays, mainly horror games, usually AAA titles. We got a bunch of other stuff coming out, including like the sequels for Left 4 Dead, which is Back for Blood, Alien Fireteam, the new Evil Dead game that's coming out soon, which is a player game.
Which I would love to buy if the fucking PS5 would actually get restocked for a change.
I can't find one.
I can't find one either.
But if you find one, let's play, man. That'll happen.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm doing that stuff. I have my podcast, the Everyday is Halloween podcast. You can check us out basically on every podcasting from Spotify to Apple to Google. It's just Hallows Eve 365 on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, I host my own podcast. It's all about Halloween and horror movies. I guess that's why you brought me onto this thing. Who
Oh
knows?
yeah, amongst other reasons.
Yeah,
My God, you are a lazy bastard.
yeah. I don't do anything. I make
You don't do anything.
I make jack-o'-lanterns on Etsy. You can go buy that. That's Halloween.
Yes, you do actually, and I bought one from you, and it was awesome.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I did. Yeah, I loved it. It was great. No, we hung it up immediately in our tree. It looks great.
Yeah. We do Halloween ornaments on there as well, and yeah, I'm just constantly doing stuff. Right now, voice acting. I have a few gigs going right now for different animated titles. This was a lot of fun. I really dug it.
Good. Glad to hear it. That's we try to keep it fun here. But for everyone else, like you said, definitely do not give the works of Rob Zombie a miss. Definitely jump into them. And remember, as you're watching them, what scares you